Well, hey there. I didn't see you guys. This is VernKerrigan, and we're going to be playing Kerbal Space Program. It's a fun little indie game made by Squad, I think is the name of the company. Yeah, Squad, down there in the bottom left. It is $15 or $18 to get pre-order. There's also a free version, which is version 0.14, 0.13. Currently on 0.17, and we're just going to be playing this a little bit. I'm going to resume my my normal save thing. I already have a rocket design, but I'm not going to use it. What are we gonna do? We are going to... well, we're going to the moon. And we're going to go to the moon, and we're going to land there. So I'm going to build a rocket that can do that. And I'm going to be doing it, I think, mostly stock, because I have a couple of things like this tank is better than this tank in every way, shape, and form, but I'm not going to use it because it's not balanced with the rest of the game. So, how do I want to design this? Well, let's start out basics. We need an... come on. There. Okay. We need an SAS. I want a mech jib on the top eventually, so I need SAS. This is a stability augmentation system. It's got reaction wheels, I believe they're called, little gyroscopes that spin the ship around and hold it at a single heading. Let's take reaction control system fuel and fuel tank and oh, come on, there we go, and an engine. This is going to be our basic lander right here, what I'm making. So we've got command pod, SAS, RCS fuel, normal fuel, an orbital engine. It's very weak, max thrust of 50, but it is perfectly fine for operating on the moon. Some lander legs, and I want to stick, oop, not that one, this one, nose cone adapter, and then put a, it's called a mech jeb module, a mechanical jeb module. It has all sorts of nifty little autopilot stuff, which I don't like using. The only things I use for mech jeb are the orbital information, so that I don't have to be constantly in the map screen. So, here's our lander. We need to look at center of mass, grab RCS thrusters, and stick them on there. These will burn my RCS fuel and send little puffs of hot air out. It allows me to do very fine control while landing. So, a decoupler, and then we're going to build a main stage, and we're going to use 2 tanks of fuel. I think should be enough with, where is it? An atomic rocket motor on the bottom. And then mounted around the sides. I've built a rocket like this before, which is why I'm doing it very quickly. But I have a couple of design changes from my original that I'm going to be trying to implement. So we can stick those on and take a fuel line, run it from there to there. Good. And I will strap all these together with a strut. These just keep the rocket from wobbling around too terribly much, though it's kind of unavoidable when you have what will end up being a humongous rocket like I am building. I'll just stick that on the engine. There we go. Okay. So we need decouplers. And thrust vectoring engines, because I don't think this thrust... Oh, it does gimbal. I'll keep the thrust vectoring engines. Okay, so I need to move this up a little bit. Ugh. My computer's not especially good, so I sometimes get a fair bit of lag in the vehicle assembly building. Okay, no, that's too far up. No! I didn't mean to grab that, but it might work. There we go. Then we need another decoupler, which is structural and aerodynamic. Stick that on the bottom. Okay, so here we have two stages. We have our lander stage, which ends right there. This whole assembly underneath it, with its 5 liquid fuel rocket engines, is our orbital stage. We'll put this whole assembly up into the upper atmosphere, or even in space, on a suborbital trajectory, and then this will put us into orbit around the planet Kerbal, where we are, and then perform the burn that will put us into an intercept path around the moon, and then put us into orbit around the moon, and then hopefully put us on a landing trajectory. And I have currently 3 missions landed on the moon, and I'm going to try and land as close to those as possible. And this will be lander 3. Technically, I don't have a lander 1, but I have a lifter 1, which is this same basic configuration, but using my cheating parts rather than actual parts. So we need a Rockomax brand adapter. This is a 1 to 2 meter adapter. So we can go from 1 meter fuel tanks to 2 meter fuel tanks. Yeah, we're going to do that. And then another one of these decouplers. These things that I keep putting on are radial decouplers, so I can drop stuff away, except I don't actually need them, because I don't actually decouple these side tanks. And the reason I don't decouple them is that they are what have my big engines on them. We're going to put engines on the bottom, and then strut these down. So throw a strut in like that, and like that. Oh no, it's going to stick to itself. There we go. And they don't have to be perfectly symmetrical, because I have the symmetry on, which means even though it's not perfectly symmetrical, it is not symmetrical the same everywhere, so it won't cause any adverse yaw or pitch, even if it does cause a little bit of adverse roll. So, oh, punch the mic. Those look appropriately strutted down. Take the external fuel duct. That didn't work. I said take the external fuel duct. There we go. So now, let me explain the fuel. So, if I can zoom in. Here we have fuel going from these outside tanks to the inside tanks. So as these drain, when these finish burning, even though all 5 of punch the mic again. Even though all 5 of these engines are burning, when these outside tanks run out of fuel, these center tanks will still have full, which is good because this engine is very efficient, and I want to use this engine when I'm doing things around the moon and not waste fuel with these more inefficient engines. The reason I have the efficient engines is getting into orbit and performing a burn at the right time requires more thrust than this lone engine can provide. Here, though, I have fuel going from the center out, because the engines are on the outside, and I just wanted a couple of extra fuel tanks to power these four. It also makes a good place to base them off of. So, this whole assembly, I'm pretty sure, is enough. But it doesn't look very good. Because you know what it doesn't have? It doesn't have fins. Every rocket ever has fins on it. Because fins look cool and help you control it. And I've forgotten something up top. Okay, so those are wings and control surfaces. I need to go up here and drop that down. Put an ASAS, an Advanced SAS Control System. What the Advanced SAS does is it takes all the control surfaces on my rocket and coordinates them. So the SAS tries to keep you pointed in the same direction, and the normal SAS does that with gyroscopes and uses gyroscopes to spin your ship around. The Advanced SAS will use these control surfaces that I've put on. So we've got control surfaces there. I also want smaller control surfaces here. These will be useful if it has to re-enter the atmosphere. And I'm pretty sure that this design can land on the moon and come back, but I've never actually tried that. So maybe I'll do that this time. So let's save this. Oh yeah, I know what I'm forgetting. So this is all fine and dandy, but we're going to do what? I need to move these up. So this can sit on the launch pad and lift itself off the ground and probably complete our lunar mission. However, there's a problem. It's going to go up very, very slowly at first. It doesn't have the best acceleration in thick atmosphere. So we're going to put a bunch of we're going to put 4 of these solid rocket motors. These don't have a variable throttle. They just provide lots and lots of thrust. So here's our general rocket design. If I save this and we load up the Lander 2, and zoom out, you can see it has the same sort of design. I added more fuel. I had an extra fuel tank on the bottom there. Oh yeah, ladders. So you can see it's the same basic design, but this one that I've made I think will perform a little bit better. I had some issues with fuel lines not doing what I wanted them to and staging. But what it does need is a ladder, because none of my missions on the moon currently have these ladders here, which means that my Kerbals, they can get out and sit on this command pod, and that's it. So, staging. So we want these to fire together, and then those to decouple. And what are ye? Hold on. What are you? Okay. These need to go in this stage. No. Oh, wait. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to do is organize these so that everything fires how I want it to. I want that? Yeah. Or do I? Yeah, I do. Okay, so the general idea is... So, hold on. And those. And that. Okay, so I think I have this staged correctly. So, everything at the bottom will fire. That was almost bad. That was almost very, very bad. Okay, so all the 4 liquid engines and the 4 solid engines will fire, and that's our first stage. That will take us off the ground and up really, really high. Then this will decouple, and these 5 engines here will fire. That'll get us into orbit. Then these so these will get us into orbit and then perform a lunar injection burn. Then these will detach, and I'll detach them such that they will crash into the moon's surface. Then this will get us into orbit around the moon and start our descent, as well as performing any orbital corrections. And then once we're down really close to the moon's surface, probably 10,000 meters, we'll detach this, and this module here, this lander module, will perform the landing. So let's launch. Hopefully it doesn't crash into the tower or break. Rockets sometimes just break on the launch pad, which is no good. Alright, so I don't want that. I don't need that right now. Okay. So here we have our rocket and very low frame rate. And that was the whole rocket exploding on the launch pad. So, well, I can fix that though. I need to zoom out. Let's put it over there. Okay. So basically, part of my rocket was intersecting the launch pad at the time of launch, which means that, or not the launch pad, the launch tower. So, oh god, it's gonna fall off, isn't it? Yep. Okay, this can be a problem. Alright, I need to zoom out. Let's move it. Can I... Oh, no. Can I do that? Basically, I'm just trying to get it in a position where it's not going to intersect the launch pad. Which it isn't. Excellent. So this launch should be for realsies, I think. And it broke. This is the problem with building very large rockets. Sometimes they just break, and it takes a little while to figure out why. There is a piece, though. A very good piece. So let's take 4-way symmetry on that, and... Okay. So hopefully those stilts will keep it from exploding on the launch pad. The stilts are somewhat sticky, which means that the rocket shouldn't move, theoretically. Okay, excellent. It's wobbling, but it is staying on the launch pad. Oh god, this launch may go terribly. So, control check, got roll, got pitch, okay, and I am using a joystick for this, so let's launch. Oh god, I fucked that up so bad. Okay, so I saw on the launch pad a problem, I decided to try and get away with it. These were not strutted onto the rockets, so they just tore themselves off and detonated the entire thing as soon as I pressed the launch button. Like, they just straight into the rocket assembly. And also a problem is that the lower bit of the rocket wasn't really that firmly attached to the upper bit of the rocket, which means it was going to wiggle around, which is very bad. So let's just strap this thing on. And save and launch. Excellent. So this should be a more successful launch than the previous one. Alright, so can I bring up the map view? I can. So here's our target, the moon. More specifically, if I can get a zoomed in picture, those three landed spacecraft are my target. And I think everything's ready to go. It's wiggling around, but that's fine. SAS on, precision control on, throttle at full, and launch. And we have liftoff. And I'm getting really bad frame rate, but that's pretty normal considering I have a 170-something part rocket. It gets a lot better the fewer stages I have, and the fewer parts I have. But, here we go. We are going up, this is good, and we will drop away those solid boosters, and we are losing speed, gaining speed, good, excellent. We're going to turn over and do our gravity turn at 15,000 feet, 15,000 meters, excuse me, or 500 meters a second, whichever comes first. Gravity turn involves us pitching up, or pitching back, and pointing east. So it looks like we're going to hit 15,000 pretty soon, and 500 pretty soon, so we're going to turn the SAS off and pitch back some. Turn the SAS back on, that'll lock us in place. Apoapsis is getting up there, turn over some more. And the sound has died off because of how high up we are. And there we go. So, that's good. We will... Okay, Houston. We have a problem. Oh, abort. This is an annoying thing about, actually, do I want to, I don't want to fix this. This piece right here is not fuel crossfeed enabled, so I think just routing fuel to it fixes that problem. I think that fixes it. Okay. And for whatever reason, these launching stilts don't, like, have an auto-destruct, so you have to clear the launch pad every time. Okay, so that was an unsuccessful launch because I messed up, but should now be successful. Basically what happened, my 4 powerful motors that I need to get into orbit around the planet did not fire properly. So throttle full, precision control on, SAS on, launch. So right now we are getting, normal G-forces, nothing too out of the ordinary. Sometimes on re-entry you can get a lot of G-forces, but generally not on departure. I need to drop away those solid boosters. Those will fall back and detonate Kerbal Space Center. Excellent. Once we get in space, I can tell you more about the nav ball down here if you don't already know, but right now I'm going to focus on the launch. We're getting up there, very good. We have about a tank and a half of fuel left for each of the engines. Getting up there, get my hand back on the joystick, get ready to make our gravity turn, and I need to make the gravity turn a lot faster this time. Oh. The SAS has trouble with such a large rocket, trying to get it pointed in the direction I want it to be pointing. Okay, and so, out of fuel, SAS off, stage. God damn it. Well, let's drop away those. So what we currently have is a lot of fuel and not very much thrust. If we bring up our vessel information, our thrust-to-weight ratio is 0.18 to 1, which means that this is an unsuccessful flight. It won't be able to get into orbit. Fuel crossfeed cable. No. Okay, that should work. Should work. I'll have to make sure those stage properly, but that should be good. So where did those end up? So those will go there. And put that away. Actually, no. Let's see. Vessel information. So right now, yeah, we have a fantastic thrust-to-weight ratio. Powered up. Let's get rid of that. I really want to have a successful mission, but launch in 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Here we go. Lots of fire. Scroll down over here so we can see our solid engines. The liquid engines will start to overheat. That's no issue at the moment because we're still in atmosphere, so that heat will not get too high. I've never actually had heat be a problem. But, oh, detach the solid rockets. But you never know, it could become a problem and that would be bad. So now, orient myself properly. I'll orient like this. So I'm going to start flying that way. And can I see the moon somewhere? Nope, moon is on the other side of the planet. Okay, so get myself oriented, scratch my ear, and get ready to do my gravity turn. Here we go, and gravity turn. The reason it's called a gravity turn is you start turning horizontal, you stop counteracting gravity, and that means gravity helps increase your orbital speed rather than just having your rockets do it. Concentrating, so I'm going to be a little bit quieter than I usually am at this stage of the launch because I really want this to work, so I want to get it going right. So right now we're flying up, even though our ship is almost completely horizontal, which is good. So we'll do that, and SAS off, and there we go. All of our rockets are firing like they're supposed to. And cut the engines. Go to the map view. We can see that is our projected course. Our apoapsis, the highest point of our orbit or suborbit, is 111,000 meters. We can also see that right here. That's good. That is a perfectly fine orbit. We've burned off about a quarter or fifth of a tank of these, so we still got plenty of fuel left. At this point in time, I'm going to roll over. I did that entire operation, what would be for the pilot, belly up. Now I'm going to go into a top-up configuration so that Bob Rod Kerman can, out of his not a single window, see things. Really? This is a boring cockpit. I'm sorry, that's just lame. Let's get out of there. Let's look at our spaceship. So right now we are hurtling through space, waiting until we get closer to our apoapsis. The apoapsis is the most efficient point to burn. It, along with the periapsis. Apoapsis is highest point, periapsis is lowest point. So you want to burn at one of those two to be maximally efficient. Burning at apoapsis increases the height of your periapsis, and vice versa. So if you want to, basically, burning at any point in time prograde, meaning in the direction of travel, will increase the height of the opposite side of the orbit. So right now we're burning at apoapsis to try and bring our periapsis above the surface of the planet. Right now it's at negative 200 kilometers, and we need to get that up above. We need to get it above about 68,000 kilometers, which, as you can see, will happen momentarily. Periapsis, and cut the engines. Actually, no, we'll bounce it up to 100. Good. So, we have ourselves an orbit. It is a mostly circular, not perfectly circular, but good enough orbit. Now, if we want to get to the moon, we have to perform a burn-in. Oh man, I left a lot of debris in orbit. That's not good. Kessler syndrome is bad, guys. To get to the moon, ideally I would bring this onto the plane, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait until the moon comes over the horizon, and then burn, and burn, and burn, and burn. So you line those up, and right about there. So if we exit our map view, and pitch down. Actually, so theoretically we should be able to see the moon right now. There we go. It's moonrise over Kerbal. That is the time to go. So we'll get our ship facing prograde and turn the engines on. And watch that apoapsis grow. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn until my ship is on a collision course with the moon, and then I'm going to burn a little bit, and then I'm going to detach those powerful, inefficient engines that I have, and then I'm going to burn a little bit more until we're not on a collision course. So those smaller engines should, in theory, instead of being in orbit perpetually like those ones, should crash into the surface of the moon and be destroyed. Okay, so wait, and right now I'm just barely using my throttle. I don't want to do this too much. Okay, so right now I have no periapsis on the moon. I'm going to stage and burn a little bit more. So this is essentially changing me from a prograde orbit to a retrograde orbit. There we go. So now, if we look behind us, we can see our engines, and those will go off and crash into the moon a very long time from now. We are 17 minutes into this mission, which means I've been recording for a long time, but that's fine. And I'm just going to use the time warp function. Actually, this is another thing that MechJeb is good for. I'm going to have it warp to the SOI switch, so it's going to warp to right there. And it's going to do it very precisely, and that's good. So as you can see, the moon is coming closer. We're moving like that, and then once the moon reaches that point, we're just going to drop right into it. So now we are in an almost orbital trajectory around the moon. But as you can see, we're going to drop behind the moon and then slingshot back, and that's not what we want. We obviously want to be in an orbit around the moon. So the way to get into an orbit around the moon is to time warp some more and get to the periapsis and then burn retrograde, opposite the direction of travel. Basically what's happening is we are going so fast at periapsis that our apoapsis is so high up that you get caught, like the apoapsis is within Kerbin's sphere of influence. But we don't want to do that. We want to be in orbit around the moon. So we're going to burn retrograde and effectively just bring that apoapsis back down into orbit around the moon. And I'm not going to wait exactly for periapsis, because if I do, I'm afraid that this nuclear rocket motor, oh god, lag spike, I'm afraid that my nuclear rocket engine won't have quite enough thrust to pull me back into orbit in time, though it looks like it does. Operations on the moon take very little thrust because it has gravity about 1/6 that of Kerbal. So the same engine works about 6 times as well. However, it's important to... yeah, current thrust-to-weight ratio, 4.21. So, if you'll remember, this same rocket in orbit, in suborbit around Kerbal, had a thrust-to-weight ratio of 0.18. So, obviously, being around the moon is very, very good. And bring that in. Good. So, we currently doing that. I'm going to leave the apoapsis there, and then pause the video, and I will be right back. I need to go do something real quick. Alright, and I'm back. Sorry about that. We are going to warp to apoapsis with a 30-second lead time. And this is one of the things, because MechJeb has all sorts of stuff. It can bring your apoapsis to a certain thing, periapsis to a certain thing. All sorts of really fancy things. But I don't like to use those because it feels kind of like cheating. Alright, so... Oh, no. Damn it. What ended up happening was I passed my apoapsis because I was at time warp and then I turned on MechJeb. But I feel like this thing is just what I would be doing anyways, but with less work. It's not doing something that I couldn't manage to do myself. So, here we go. Now, I abort. Okay, so we are at 36 seconds, and I need to pull my orbit south. So, trying to maneuver this thing around is rather difficult because at the moment it only has the reaction. Excuse me. It only has the reaction wheels inside the command pod turning it. And I need to... Oh no, I missed it. Sun, lander, Kerbal, moon. Okay. I need to be focused on the moon. Because what I'm doing is I'm rotating my orbit around the moon so that it points in a certain way. That looks about right. Okay. Warp to periapsis with a 30-second lead time. So, for instance, let's say I was being lame and actually abort. Okay. So, I want to retarget my own ship. Just pressing tab to move through the different camera targets. Okay, so I could use these buttons. Kill rotation stops you rotating, like so. Off. Don't know what that does. This turns you prograde, this turns you retrograde. Don't know what those do, don't know what those do, because I haven't used them. But basically, that's cheating, in my opinion. I don't like doing that. I like to fly my own damn ship. So that's what I do. I fly my own damn ship. I don't have a problem with people who use the MechJeb module to use those sort of things, because honestly, they do really fantastic things. They do precision landings and make space stations and all that sort of things that I could never do without MechJeb, or more math than I'm willing to use. But what I can do is land these things. All of these are within a 15.7 kilometer circle, which, considering I am I'm like 12 million miles away from Kerbal, I'd say 15 kilometers is pretty damn good. I'll pat myself on the back for 15 kilometers. So, I am going to get rid of my orbital operations thing. I'm going to do the rest of this by hand. Right now I'm just trying to pretty much circularize my orbit most of the way. And then I'm going to leave myself in this orbit for a long time until I am in the light side. Because currently all of my stuff is landed on the dark side of the moon, and I know that I landed them there when it was light out. So we're going to hit the time compression. Sorry for anyone who gets dizzy from this. Alright, stop. Stop. Oh no. I have to correct my orbit again. Never mind then. I didn't realize that was how orbital mechanics worked. Alright, pause. Okay, good. Fantastic. So we are going to perform a dark side of the moon landing. So now I'm going to speed up that time compression. Landing on the dark side of the moon isn't the worst thing that can happen, it's just a little bit more difficult. I know the lunar surface is about 2,000 meters, but I don't know exactly where it is, which could be a little bit of a problem. So, there you have it. I'm going to wait until I'm basically directly over these, and then try and kill as much of my horizontal speed as possible. So, right about there. And I want to go down. I think this is retrograde. Excellent. So we're just going to head over here. And so I'm just going to try and stay within that little cluster. I'm not going to be too precise about it. So I'm just going to point my ship on the horizon and burn. Did I pass them? Yeah, I passed them. So I might just burn this way a little bit longer than usual. So as you can see, I'm bringing down my periapsis, and it is now in the planet, so I'm not in orbit anymore. Basically what I want is I want to be falling straight down into this cluster, and from there I can land it, and pitch up a little bit. There we go. And so I basically have to counter all of my orbital speed, and even a little bit more because I went a little bit past them. So we're going to burn like this. We have 2/3 of a tank each in each of these 4 things, so I have a ton of fuel, pretty much. That comes out to, 2 2/3 of a tank of fuel left for a single super efficient engine. It burns 1.5 liters per second, and these each hold 400 liters. So we're fine on the fuel situation. It's just our thrust to weight ratio. Not exactly the best thing you could ever have. But, oh well. Oh my god, surface altitude. Oh my god, that's cheating. That is so cheating. Okay, so this gives me my true altitude. This is like a radio or radar or laser altitude, where it's like this is how far off the ground you are. That is cheating. I can't use that. I would. Yeah, no. That goes beyond what I'm willing to use. I'm willing to use this stuff though. This is fine. This is information that I can get from the map view anyway. It's just now accessible. So I'm gonna keep burning, keep burning. Come on. What's my altitude at? Does this have my altitude in it? You know what? Because I do need my altitude. Surface information. Altitude. Excellent. So now we are reversing my orbital track. And now I want to turn right a little bit. Turn back left. And And stop and kill the engine. So now we are dropping in very close to that one. Going to do a little bit of time warp action down to 100 kilometers. So I'm going to burn this way a little bit more and start turning it north. Alright, there we go. So that's basically right where I want it to be. So those are my targets. And now comes the fun part. I have so much fuel that I can afford to basically waste it. However, I need my ship to stop spinning around like crazy. So, what we will do, and sorry if I start talking in weird accents, it happens. I have names for most of them. We're going to start just holding a steady descent pattern. We're going to start slowing down in our free fall. My goals are at 50,000, I'm going to reduce down to 150 meters per second orbital speed. Or do I want to use surface speed? I'll use surface speed. I'll drop down to 150 meters per second surface speed, and at that point I will try and get rid of my horizontal velocity. Because what this will do, this will carry me further sideways as I descend, which is good because then I'm going to burn back. So I want to be basically right above this cluster when I go to kill my horizontal velocity. So I'm going to increase my engine thrust to try and accomplish that goal. Once I get down to just this lander pod here, I'll generally keep my thrust level around there. And recorrect my SAS. So I need to burn northwards a little bit. So I'll just pop it over onto the north. Turn it a little more north. And turn it back straight up and cut the engine for a second. Okay, so now that I am approaching 50,000 feet, 50,000 meters, excuse me, I want to start burning pretty much pure retrograde. So this is straight up decreasing my speed and bringing me into a straight down free fall, which is very good. So no, I'm not going to skip ahead. You guys get to see the whole damn orbital descent. So now I am passing 50,000 meters, which means I will up my thrust to 100% until I'm going 150 meters per second. Because I have fuel to kill. Got fuel to burn, baby. Alright, and so now decrease it down again. Now I want at 30,000, 100 meters per second, and then from the 30,000, or at 20,000, I'm going to drop it down to 50. So I can decrease my thrust a little bit to that end. How's my orbital track looking? I'm gonna stop turning so retrograde now. Go back to a more straight up configuration. Because I can cancel out a fair bit of that horizontal velocity later. But right now I'm actually trying to land very close to these so that I can have my Kerbal get out and go meet up with them. Or more specifically, have all of these guys go meet up with this one, because this is the Lander 3. As you can see, I have two Lander 2s and a lifter, aka Lander 1. How are we doing? Good. Decrease throttle a little bit. I want to have those guys come meet up because the Lander 3 has ladders on its lander module, which means that they can get in after they get out, which is good. So here we go. Ooh. As we burn fuel, the rocket gets lighter and lighter. So I'm going to try and bump my surface speed back up to 100 meters a second real quick. Oh. Otherwise it just takes forever to fall all the way. So let's up it a little bit. Good. 990 or 99.9. Oh. There we go. I'll just leave it at that throttle setting. That should be good until I hit 30,000. Then 30,000 to 20,000 will be at this speed until I hit 20,000, at which point I will drop down to 50. Oh. And then at 10,000 feet, the lander module, the actual landing vehicle, basically this and up, will detach from the orbital rocket, and the orbital rocket will fall down and be destroyed, hopefully not bombing any of my other poor Kerbals, and the lander module will continue on its own powered descent. So as you can see, coming in, basically my distance to the ground, as you can see, kind of getting farther and farther away from this lifter, but the Lander series seems to be doing just fine in its own little cluster. I'll have to get more precise about that at some point. But go to the map view real quick. Okay, so if we look at my true altitude, it's about 1 kilometer less than my distance to that, which means this is, no more than a couple kilometers away from the point directly below me, which is good. So we're going to keep dropping our speed down a little bit. Oh, nearing 20,000, so let's pick up that burn rate. As you can see, this fuel has lasted the entire duration of lunar operations, and it's still not even gone. So this is why I use a single nuclear rocket motor, the LR-TAC-V, I think it's called. LV-TAC-N. The LV-TAC-N motor is more than able to do slow orbital operations. It can't do things quickly. For instance, when the moon is coming over the horizon, that is your launch window, your burn window to get to the moon. And a single nuclear rocket motor doesn't have enough thrust to take advantage of that window, and you just won't get there in time, and it won't work, which is why I have the more powerful engines. Now, normally I would just use lots of nuclear rocket motors, but they're heavy, and so I try and avoid using them wherever possible. So here, now that I'm below 20,000, I really do want to get pointed, or I want to get to where I'm falling straight down. So to that end, I'm moving my retrograde marker there onto the straight up orientation. And keep burning a little bit. Lock it straight up. So we're still moving sideways slightly, but it's really not all that bad. So nothing to worry about. And, oh, this is going to be a close landing, it looks like. That's good. I'm glad about that. I'm very happy with this landing. This is going well. So we need to decrease our speed though, because we ended up going too fast. So, oh, phase angles. Those are nice. I actually need to use this more. Instrument landing system. No. Oh god. That looked really fancy, and I don't like really fancy. Okay, so we are nearing our 10,000 meter marker. Shit. I did not realize that was still up. My bad. I don't want to have such cheating going on in my save file, though you can do it in yours. I feel it's un-Kerbal. Kerbals are, you know, how do we test a rocket? Well, should we send it up with an unmanned crew? They're like, no. Here's how you test a rocket. You put our best pilots in it, and then let it crash. It's not the Kerbal way to do things precisely. I really hope I don't end up bombing my own Kerbals. Actually, at 10,000 I'll drop these tanks, and then at 8,000 I'll drop this tank. Because it just seems like such a waste to have two whole things of fuel left over. I feel like this rocket here could probably make it to Minmus without issue, or heck, I could even put like lander legs somehow on this and have this whole thing in the middle land without too much of a problem. Alright, so let's drop those away and decrease our thrust. I don't remember who's down there, but he's probably screaming a little bit like Bobrod Kerman is. So we'll keep burning. And then once we reach 8,000 feet, throttle down. Throttle down. And there we go. So now we are in a descent pattern. Let's deploy those landing legs and turn on our RCS. Now normally RCS fuel gets spent by the advanced SAS, but I dropped away my advanced SAS, so now I only have the normal one with the reaction wheels in it. So I can turn on RCS without wasting the fuel trying to keep my ship in the same heading. We are dropping now very well. Alright. So yeah, about 2,000 meters. Oh, this is going to be a good landing, I can tell. I'm excited. Looks like our debris crashed, no problems. There we go. This was a debris-free mission. Our bottom stage with the big rockets will have crashed back into Kerbal. Our small engines that we used, or our inefficient engines, I should say, that we used to get here, crashed into the lunar surface a long time ago. The orbital stage just now crashed into it, and we're about to land on it. So this is a zero-waste mission, not contributing to Kessler syndrome at all. And that makes me happy, because I don't like seeing debris in my save file. So, as you can see, this rocket wobbles around a little bit when I turn the SAS on. That is because it's because I don't have the advanced SAS, so these reaction wheels, these gyroscopes, aren't quite perfect at rotating you around precisely. Alright. So I need to decrease my thrust a little bit. This little engine, it's like the weakest engine you can have, and it is, even on the moon, it is just so powerful. So it looks like we might even be within a kilometer of our Lander 2 mission. Maybe not, but it'll be fairly close. So we're getting lower, good, under 1,000 meters. If you look at the nav ball, I'm just using the RCS to get that yellow indicator right in the middle of my direction, which means I'm going straight down, which is good for landing. Let's drop down below 10 meters a second. 10 meters a second is safe to land in, I believe. I'll probably end up decreasing my speed a little bit more, though. So, you can see the hills start to get in the way there. And this is looking good. This is looking very good. Decrease thrust a little bit. I mean, we want to go slow, but we don't want to go that slow. And use that RCS. Fix our direction of travel a little bit. It's kind of awkward because pressing my up translate button moves this down, but my left moves it left. So it's almost reversed, but not quite. And come on. Just touch down. I guess we're still a little ways above the planet, but not too much above it. Oh, that's touchdown. We are touchdown. Turn the SAS off. RCS off. Let's drop that ladder down. I'll drop both of these ladders down, actually. And we are going to head to the Space Center. So we have successfully landed our mission on the moon. However, because we're within a kilometer of another Kerbal, I really should at least go pick a Lander 2 mission, the closer one. Oh yeah. So I'm going to start up this mission and see what happens. See if I can walk over and have a party. Now, Pat VernKerrigan won't be able to get back into his rocket very easily, but that's fine. So, let's drop off, and please don't die. Oof! That's okay. He's a man about it. Alright, and okay, hold on. Settings. Apply. Alright, so, I don't actually know how to, it just crashed. it just crashed. Sorry about that, everybody. I got out and managed to crash my Kerbal into the face of the moon, and then and then the game crashed. So we're going to do that again. Land a little bit safer. Now there's this thing you can do when your guy has his stuff out. You can jump and then you can use his rocket pack. It makes him go. Except sometimes it does that. Hopefully he's not stuck in the surface of the moon, but it looks like he is a-okay, so it's not a problem. Don't even worry about it. For those of you who've played Tribes Ascend, this feels a lot like Tribes Ascend, the whole skiing thing, except I can't touch the ground, otherwise I will fall over. Now, because we are currently in space, I have a certain amount of forward momentum, and that's going to carry me forward forever. I just need to keep from landing, and we'll be good. So yeah, we've used about 20% of our pack of fuel, and we have covered about 80% of the distance. There it is! Hit the brakes, hit the brakes. And apparently, I've been told on the Kerbal Space Program forums that it is possible to get into orbit using your rocket pack. Now, I don't exactly believe that, but if they say it, it must be true. So we've got our Kerbal. Does he have... he has lights. I forgot that he had lights. So there's the ladder up there. So let's turn on our rocket pack, jump, and grab on. And can he get in? Oh. Board. Oh, it's full. But he can grab onto that. That's awesome. I approve. Alright. So, that was awesome. Let's go to the tracking station. Yeah, so now I have a guy on someone else's rocket, which means the next step is, of course, to build a rocket that can go to the moon, pick people up, and bring them back. I might do some R&D on that off screen, but once I get good at it, I'll be sure to bring you guys back. Thanks for watching. I have been VernKerrigan, and this game, this amazing indie game developed by Squad, is Kerbal Space Program. I recommend you check it out. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and comments are always nice. I like to know what's going on with you fine viewers. It just makes me feel good inside to go to my email and be like, oh, someone commented on my video. So yeah, hope you all are having a fantastic time today, and see you next time. Bye.